Do you want to improve at a quicker pace? Check out GitGUDRacing.com. I've coached hundreds of drivers, from real-life racers to sim enthusiasts, who experience rapid improvement after just one session. And while investing in top-notch hardware is great, imagine how much more you can elevate your experience by adding coaching to the mix. My methods are practical, aiming to break down complex concepts into easily digestible bits that are simple to understand. You can find reviews of the sessions I've conducted on the Fiverr link provided in the video description. Let's elevate your racing skills together. Now for the track guide. Since this is the no chicane version, turn 1 is very easy, it's a flat out corner. However, there are few things that can gain you 002, 003 maximum. There are very small things, but it's free lap time. So you want to turn late into this corner. You want to turn later than you think. I'm using this orange part of the wall as a reference for turn in. I want to really initiate the turn in whenever I'm this close to this orange paint in the wall, and I don't want to hit this curb. I want to apex around it, maybe hit the white line and the beginning of the curb with the right tires, but I don't want to go over it and get the grass here or hit the curb, because if you're gonna apex in a way that you're gonna hit this curb, your car will track out a bit wider around here. So you want to have a tight line all the way to this white line. You don't want to go more on the left, even 1 meter to the left. It's gonna scrub a bit of speed. So the name of the game here is avoiding unnecessary scrubbing of the tires. This will help you a bit with the tires, and this will gain you like 002 on average if you just stay tight to this line. And this happened for me too. So right now I gained 001. In some instances I could gain 002. It all depends by how minimum you can use the steering wheel. Now going into the chicane, I use the beginning of this bridge as a reference for braking. Right when I'm under the bridge, I'm applying the brakes, and I don't want to brake very high. I'm picking 85, 80, kind of like this, and I try to maintain it for a while. Downshifting to second while still using this curb. This is important, and right now you want to cut this curb a lot. You want to go over it, and the moment that you feel the suspension going over the curb, you want to put the power down, and you want to keep the power down like this. You will do a small lift right here whenever you cut the second curb, but what's important is to not drop the throttle to 0 here. If you're gonna do a full lift, like 100% and then going to 0 and then going back on throttle, that's gonna lose you way too much time. So you want to avoid that and just minimize the amount of lift that you're gonna do. Obviously this corner was not good for me. I kinda dropped the brakes way too quickly. So if you look on this brake shape, you notice that from this peak, the brakes started to drop very sharply around here. So you want to almost draw a rectangle with the brake. So this wasn't the best corner here. I could gain in this corner, and I did some laps in which I gained 1.5 tenths by just holding the brakes for longer, because that's gonna give you more rotation while you go into the lower trail braking. But because I dropped the brakes too much, now my trail braking around here is very high, and whenever you're trailing with higher percentages, then the car will start to understeer a bit because there's too much load on the front tire. So this is what happened to me, so be mindful of that. Now going into the next corner, the braking reference is this orange block again on the right side. Whenever it's in my windshield, I'm applying the brakes, and I'm using the brakes just to rotate the car. You don't want to slam the brakes, just be very gentle, because the apex is again this orange block on the right side. So I want to have the car very close to this part, and whenever I'm at this point, I'm going to apply back the throttle to 100% using all the curb Going into the next right-hander, again quick corner, just before the 50, applying the brakes, again not braking very hard, just to make the front tires point and to shift a bit of weight on the fronts. And then it's a long trailing, still trailing, up until you hit this curb, and whenever you feel the suspension loaded, whenever you hit the curb, that's the moment in which you put the power down, very confidently, very hard, because this is again a big straight and you're gonna gain a lot of time by just being early on throttle on that curb and not doing too many corrections under throttle. Now in Ascari, braking point the 100 meter board, so slightly before the 100 I'm applying the brakes, I'm downshifting to third, and I want to cut as late as I can this curb and go over the sausage curb. You want to cut as much as you can, but if you're gonna cut too early, your car will get pushed all the way to this curb. So it's important to avoid getting to this curb initially, because we want to ride this curb eventually like this. Now, this wasn't perfect from my side. Ideally, what you want, first of all, is after you hit the curb to go back on throttle, which was good. Now, the second highlight would be to hit 100% throttle, not 89 like I did here. So hit it very hard with 100%, then do the lift right here, but do a smaller lift. I did a mistake with my throttle pedal and I lifted more than I need to. I could have held the same line in the corner if I dropped the throttle instead of 40 and drop it to 65 or 70. The car would still have stayed on this trajectory, because I tried it, but because of a mistake, you see, this is a common mistake. You're doing a bigger lift than you actually need. There's something that you can do in your pedal software. I talked a bit in another video about it, but just to be precise about it, just to have a reference, you will have a good corner whenever this lift is not gonna be that big. So we will try to do the minimum possible lift into this right-hander right now to prepare for this one. And this one should be almost flat, which is fine. And now going into the last corner, my braking reference is slightly before the end of this green. So around this point here, I'm applying the brakes, and it's a long trailing. So still trail braking, still on the brakes, still on the brakes, because I want to apex at this light pole around here. You can't see it very well, but this pillar right here, this is my apex point. Slightly before it, you're gonna apply the throttle, and you don't want to track out wide, but you still want to use all the track, so you will carry the speed all the straight. And in short, that's a track guide of the Monza with no chicane in the first corner. I hope you have a great week ahead, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye.